John, you're going to have a look at Group 1.
Yes, Stevie, the county championship starting across the different grades now tomorrow. Senior, Premier Intermediate and Intermediate. A couple of games tomorrow night there, including one senior game. But I'm going to have a look at Group 1 there. And we have this is on Saturday there in 7:15 in Dalla, and it's Tumivara and Borrisalee. You know, contrasting fortunes in the North Senior Hurling Championship. Tuam were defeated by Killadangan there in the final there by what was it, 122 to 119, while Borrisalee, you know, they also went down to Killadangan there, but that was in the quarter final by 25 points to 16. The recent county league there, Tumivara, had mixed results there, and they didn't reach the playoff stages. Borrisalee were defeated by Upper Church in the semi-final of that competition, and I suppose last year Killadangan or Tumivara were beaten in the semi-final by Killadangan inside in Thurles there, and Borrisalee didn't make the playoff stages, you know. And I suppose the year before again Tumivara went out in the quarter final, and Borrisalee didn't make the quarter finals or the knockout stages. So look at both of those teams there now. It'll be anxious to, you know, get their name and hope to get their name on the Dan Breen, and there's one of them going to be a loser, Stevie, on the weekend, and that's the reality of it, the harsh reality of senior hurling, like, and that's a very competitive group there.
Michael McCarthy, what do you think of that?
Yeah, Stevie, a very competitive group is right. It's hard to pick winners in either of the games. Tuam, of course, as John said, they lost out to Killadangan in a the North final and in last year's county semi-final, and they seem to struggle with Killadangan at the moment as a club. But look, Tuam are a common side, and I think they'll be.
They've made good strides now, in fairness to them, haven't they?
They have, and I suppose. I was very surprised to see that Tuam hadn't been in a North final since 2012, and they hadn't won one since 2011. You would consider that they would have always been there or thereabouts, but like 12 years is like a famine to Tumivara. So I don't think they've won a county final since 2008. So it's a long time for them who I suppose would see themselves as the aristocrats of North Hurling and are second on the list of Dan Breen winners. So like all the groups in Dan Breen and all three grades, it's very, very competitive.
Okay, John, back to you again.
We have this. Look, I suppose we're talking about Tumivara there. Mike was like, with the two McCarthys, Darren McCarthy there. He sort of lit up the scene last year. Now the second year is going to be, he's going to be a watchman this year of his exploits with the Tipp under 20s, and I suppose Nina and Dr. Harty and all.
What can they do? They can maybe just go man to man or put an
no, but
you
see, we saw that. How many times have we seen it with young fellas? The first year they come on the scene, they're not known. They might have been known at underage, but like adults haven't known their style. Now, his style of hurling and everything will have been watched, and I think he's going to probably have more. He'll be man-marked a bit more this year because, like, he's a match winner, and there's no doubt about it. Like, so it'll be very, very interesting to see as it's like the second year up how he'll go, and that's going to be interesting from that point of view. There, I think Borrisalee. Sure, look at Brendan Maher there, Dan McCormack. Conor Kenny's back from injury there, and I suppose Paddy McCormack there, who hurted his thumb, I think it was, there with the county under 20 early on this year, and it was a big loss in the All Ireland. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Borrisalee would like to get back up there again, and that sort of brings us on to the other two teams in the group. Drum and Kilruane, so that'll tell you how competitive that group is. Where are they? They're on in Templederry. They're on Saturday again at 7:15. So
I think that's even a harder one to call.
It is, of course, yeah. Kilruane, they went out of the North Championship, sort of limped out of it, you could say, this year, and they weren't the Kilruane.
Surprise in a way.
Yeah, but if you take them last year as well, in the they were 23, 22 county champions. They limped out of the county championship last year. They haven't shown in the league this year. They haven't shown up in the North Championship. So, like,
why?
I don't know. And now, they have been missing a few. They've had a few injuries, but I think they'll be, they're going to have to come out all guns blazing against Drum. But Drum, Drum are always going to be a hard team to beat. And I think that's a very hard one to call. But I would actually go for Drum on that one, Stevie.
Michael, on that one.
Yeah, I would agree with John, Stevie. Kilruan are bringing no form since their county final win in 2022.
That's a big surprise.
It is, and I suppose, when you're county champions, you deserve to be county champions. But in 22, I'm not sure that anyone would have picked them at the start of the year. But in 23, I think they finished bottom of their group. They were in relegation there last year. They went out of the North Championship, I think, by 8 points or 9 points to Templederry in the quarter final. I suppose they rely heavily on Jerry Cahill and what they can get out of him. I know last year they were probably without the services of Paddy Williams for a little bit of it. He was in Australia. He's home now, so I suppose he'll add a bit of stability in the goal for them. But for Drum are another team that are coming strong. They won the county junior B title last year. They won the county under 21A title last year. So they have lots of guys coming into their panel. They'll be backboned by the Campions, and of course they'll have Shamie Callanan up front. So I find it hard to look past Drum in this one myself. Similar to John. But look, as a group, hugely competitive, and everyone will have to play to the best of their ability in all 3 games to make sure they get into the knockout stages.
They certainly will. Well, John, have you more to add to that?
No, but just young Fitzpatrick there. I think it's his first year up. Cormac Fitzpatrick. He's a guy that'll take watching, and it's just interesting to see his first year up again. And I always love to watch these guys their first year and sort of track them then how they get on.
Michael, let's back to you. Group 3.
Yeah, Group 3, Stevie has Laura Dora, Lochmore Castleiney, Nina Aerogue and Holy Cross in it, and the first game up...
Is it tough enough group 2?
Oh, it certainly is, and the first game up in that group is on tomorrow evening at 7:30 in Nina, Laura and Lochmore. Both Laura and Lochmore come into this with I suppose a bounce in their tail. Laura, managed by Ken Hogan, are on the back of 2 promotions in a row. Won the county intermediate in 22, won the Premier intermediate in 23. So they will be coming into the competition very strong. Probably without Bonner Maher for the first game. He got sent off in the Munster campaign for the intermediate Munster campaign last year, so they'll probably be without him at the weekend, so he'll be a huge loss. Dara Guinan is back from injury, and Keane Hogan is around as well, but they lost out in the North North quarter final to Nina Aerogue, and Brian Hogan played that day, but he's gone back to Australia, so he'll be a loss for them. Lochmore have been outstanding so far in 2024. They won the mid fairly comprehensively, beat McCarthy in the final, and I mean, they were in the semi-finals of the county championship last year, lost out to Thurles Sarsfields. They're managed by Eamon Kelly from Killidangan this year.
And a good manager there.
Yeah, absolutely, with a lot of experience. And look, there's experience. I think anyone could go in and manage Lochmore with the talent at their disposal. I mean, they'll be backboned, of course, by the 3 McGraths. They'll have the 2 Conleys. Ed Conley is back from injury, and his brother there, Kieran Conley, it will be around as well. And
a force to be reckoned with.
They are, and I think long term they definitely will be looking to get back to a semi-final of the county championship, if not further.
Other games, Michael?
Yeah, the second game in that is Nina Aerogue and Holy Cross. That's on Sunday at 1 p.m. in the
Probably Holy Cross fancying their chances there.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nina, who were on the back of 2 North winning campaigns, went out of the semi-final this year. to Mivera, I think it was, and last year they didn't come out of their group. They finished third in their group, and then they were in the preliminary quarter final and lost to Thurles Sarsfields. So like they'll have players like Josh Keller, who was part of the senior training panel for a while. He was on the 21s last year. The Heffernans, Tommy Heffernan didn't play in the North Championship, but is back fit, I believe. Sam O'Farrell, who was one of the main players on the Tipp under 20 team this year. So they'll be huge additions for them. Conor McCarthy, the Tipp panelist, who had been out with a cruciate, I believe he played junior last night, so and got a goal as well, I think. So I mean, he's probably back in the frame, maybe not for this weekend, but certainly for the next 2 weekends. Holy Cross finished second in their group in 2023 and qualified for the quarterfinals for the first time in a while. They got there on the basis of that new tiebreaker. They had the in the 3 teams that finished on 2 points, they had the best score difference, so finished in second, but they lost out to Killidangan in the quarter-final in a mighty game, lost out by 2 points, and looked for a lot of it where they might trouble the eventual county champions. This year, surprisingly, lost out to the Brackens in the mid-quarter final, 26 points to 22, and they'll be a bit disappointed with that result. Of course, their main players, county players, Brian O'Mara and Cathal Barrett. So it'll be interesting to see where they line out. And they have young guns as well. Robbie Ryan, who was part of the under 20 panel, and brings a lot of
delightful hurler.
Brings a lot of underage calibre with him. So he came on as a sub in that Brackens game. So it'll be interesting to see whether he starts and can bring that form through to senior. Jim Ryan, another very good underage player out around the middle of the park, and of course Dara Woods, who has been around for a long time, has always been their main scorer up front. So Holy Cross are again another club that are coming. Very tight group in all of it. Like all the groups, round one can be pivotal to your how your chances are going to be and getting out of the group.
Very interesting. And John, we'll move on now to Group 2.
Group 2, there is another one. We have Mullinahone, Sarsfields, McCarthy and Roscrea. And up Saturday evening again in Templemore, 7:15, one of those games there, McCarthy and Roscrea. You know, McCarthy were defeated by Lochmore there in the mid-final. Like, they sort of collapsed in the last 10 minutes there, that when they went down a man there. They had been sort of dominating the game up to that time, and they had their noses in front. But then, of course, Lochmore again came at them, which was a feature of Lochmore in the mid this year, finishing their games very, very well. And you know, Lochmore or McCarthy were going for the first. They were appearing in their first mid-final for, I'd say, 21 years or something.
And they
like
had
that.
a very good first half, but just faltered in the second.
You know, and that's it. Like, they have Jack Hayes, Max Hackett, and a few lads like that. Shelley in the goals, are the two Shelleys. Like, Morris is still their main scorer up front there. But look at what about they were in the same group last year, Stevie, and if memory serves me correct, they drew in that game last year, and you know, Roscrea are only back up there for they won that Premier, what is it, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. So last year was the first year up. Look at the winner here, you know, will fancy their chances of getting to the knockout stages. So they will, because you have Mullinahone and Sarsfields in the other side of it there. You'd have to fancy Sarsfields getting over that, because Mullinahone there they went down to Swan there in the semi-final of the South, albeit by the minimum 17
but
points.
Yes, it was
16.
a big disappointment for.
It was a big disappointment for Mullinahone. Like, but Mullinahone have that. When they come into the county championship, they have that. They just seem to raise their game. There was a couple of, I think there was a couple of shocks along the way. Did they beat Holy Cross last year? I think they did. Yeah, you know, in the first game. So like, they're always able to do that now. Whether they'll be good enough for the Sarsfields or not, I don't think they will. And you know, it would be a big shock if Mullinahone beat the Sarsfields. That's on in Cashel on Sunday evening, Stevie. So look at we know what the Sarsfields have. We know what they bring to the table. Now they were disappointed there in that mid-quarter final. They went down to Lochmore. They didn't reach the knockout stages of the county league. They actually had a very poor league form by their own standards, and it'll be interesting to see how they will get on on Sunday evening. But I'd sort of fancy the Sarsfields for that one, and you know, then you'd have the two winners meeting in round 2. So that's it's going to be interesting. But it's probably you'd have to fancy on current form. You'd have to fancy Sarsfields and McCarthy to come out of that group.
Group 4, Michael?
Yeah, Stevie, Group 4 sees the West representatives Clonoulty, Rossmore, Killadangan, Templederry and JK Brackens, and both these games are a double header in Borrisoleigh on Saturday. The first game up is Templederry and the Brackens on at 2 p.m. and then at 3:45 Clonoulty and Killadangan. Clonoulty, I suppose, we don't have any farm line as there was no West Championship this year.
Will that affect Clonoulty?
I don't think it will, because I suppose they definitely have been playing challenges and very good challenges. They
against very very
good teams.
Yeah.
They know what they're up against coming in, playing the county champions in
and it's through no fault of their own either, because there was no game in the West for them.
No, it's not, nothing Clonoulty could have done about it. They did everything in their power to try and get a West Championship game, and it didn't come to fruition. So look, Clonoulty are managed by Tom Butler this year. Last year, I suppose they had a poor group campaign, finished in 4th, and had to go into the relegation. They beat Brackens in the semi-final of that relegation, but that was after their preliminary round win, where they beat Mullinahone in a cracking game. I think Robert Dial was the star that day. He scored 1-6 from play, and he'll be one of the guys that they will look to this year. Danny Slattery at the back, and then up front they'll have Stephen Ferncomen and Mikey Winnie of clubber fame, as they're known now, with two very very good hurlers on their day. And I think that forward 6 that Kickham's or that Clonoulty have, with Jack Ryan as well coming into that, they're a handful for everyone, and they won't be found wanting against the county champions. And I haven't even mentioned John O'Keefe, who is a stalwart of Clonoulty GA, and he'll be either in the half-back line, possibly in midfield, and he'll be a handful for Killadangan as well. Killadangan, of course, county champions, North champions in 24, beating all in front of them, and look, they're county champions for a reason. They showed that in the end of the Toomey Vary game, where they were behind for an awful lot of it, but got the winning goal in injury time and won by 3 points. That campaign will have steeled them for the county championship, and of course they will have the preliminary to quarter final to fall back on if they need it. I don't think they will, and they certainly won't be looking that way. Look, there's brilliant players all over. The two Flynns, Alan and Paul, Billy Seymour, Willie Connors, and they have great players coming into that. The other game then is Templederry and the Brackens. Templederry finished 3rd in their group last year. This year in the north they had a good win over Killaran. Maybe weren't fancies coming into it. Won by 8 points, and then lost out to Killadangan in the semi-final by 8 points. County panellist Sean Ryan, who I know myself and John have spoke about during the Munster campaign, a guy we really like, plays at full forward for them, scored 1-4 in that defeat to Killadangan. An excellent hurler, excellent club hurler especially. Colin Murray is on the freeze for them, and a guy that we'd know around West Tipperary, Padraig O'Leary, got a goal in that game as well. He plays football for Sean Tracy's. And All-Ireland winner from 2010, Gerard Ryan, is back around and playing very well, scored 3 points the last day. So he'll be a real handful. The Brackens, I suppose, were very disappointed last year, finished 4th in their group. As I said, they were in that relegation, beaten by Clonoulty in the semi-final, and got over the line against Upperchurch in the final by 1 point. I think it was 18-17 in that one. They beat Holy Cross, as I said already, in the quarter final of the mid, but lost out to McCarthy, surprisingly I would say, in the semi-final. McCarthy winning by I think 8 points in the end. But look, the Brackens have really good players. They have 2 Cadells and they have 2 Ormonds. Lyndon Fairbrother, who has been around a while, is deadly accurate from frees, and they have Shane Dial, who scored 1-2 in their semi-final loss, is a son of Aidan Dial, who won an All-Ireland minor in '96. So farm player, they have very good players all over the. This is a game that it's very hard to call, and a draw, I think, could be on the card. The first draw of the championship could be on the cards here in this one.
That's very interesting. John, it's back to you again.
Yeah, look, I'd agree with Mike there on that one there. The Brackens last year, they won the mid-final last year. They won and only mid-final. They ended up in relegation, beaten by Clonalty in the semi-final by, I think, 3 points, and got over the Church, what was it, 18 to 114. Probably the Church went into that game probably a slight favourites last year, but anyway, it just shows you on any given day, like, so I think it is a hard one to call there, but like Temple-Derry have, they have been going. They hadn't a great league campaign either, like, though, you see, and it was a surprise there, I think, when they got over Kilruane in the north. So you'd have to wonder, was it the superiority of Temple-Derry, or was it Kilruane? They are absent a few players or whatever. So time will tell there on Sunday, but it's a very hard one to call anyway.
Other games, John?
Yeah, we have the Premier Intermediate. Kicks off as well there. Actually kicks off tomorrow evening in Littleton. It's 7:30, Upper Church. Favourites in an awful lot of people's to get back up to senior. Probably they slipped up last year. I mean, they were in the county semi-final only a couple of years ago there, and all of a sudden then they're in. It just shows you how
so close.
Just close margin, the tight match. Went down by a point to Brackens there. They're up against the Swans. Swans is after winning their South Senior title there lately, beating Killinall in the final, beat Mullinahone in the semi-final by a point. Top of the roll of honour in the South. So I think that's going to be a defining match tomorrow evening there. Now, it won't define the championship or anything like that, but I expect the Church to come out all guns blazing. They came through the mid Premier Intermediate. Funny enough, they played in the County Senior League Division 1 this year, and they won it, beating Borrisoleigh in the semi-final and Drum in the final by in extra time. So, they mean business to get back up there where they firmly believe they rightly belong in senior hurling, and a lot of people would agree with that as well. Like, so that's on in Littleton tomorrow evening. Friday evening, tomorrow evening. That's going to be a very very interesting one there. And then the other two teams, and that's in all north there. What was it? Silver Mines and Ballina there. That's on Saturday, 2 p.m. in Nina. Silver Mines defeated. They were defeated in the north final by Burgess, and Ballina defeated Burgess in the semi-final. So look, it's going to be a very very hard one to call there. That could be that could be a draw now. Silver Mines and Ballina there in that Group 1 game.
John, finally, there's a huge amount of games. Is there a special offer going to come out this weekend? Because people will be asking that question.
There is, Stevie, and there's various packages drew up there by the county executive there. The general admission prices per game for both the senior, the Premier Intermediate and the Intermediate stays the same as last year. It's €12, 8 for an old age pensioner and 6 for a student. Double headers are the same price, so that double header that Mike talked about in Borrisoleigh, that's going to be damn good value there on Saturday afternoon. But if you wanted there's also a weekend pass, and a weekend pass, it covers all games there. It's 27 quid for the general.
So it's up to you to go to whatever games you want.
It is. You have 18 for the OAP and 14.50 for the student. But I was looking down through the fixtures there, and anybody that wants to avail of a weekend pass there, you'll take in 6 games very handy there. You'll take one on Friday night of a senior game or 2 Premier Intermediates. Then you have a choice. Then on Saturday you have games at 1 o'clock. You have games at 3:45. You have that double header there which is that. But if you didn't want to go to the double header, if you only wanted to go to the second one, you can take in a 1 o'clock game. You have the choice of games in at 7:15, and then brings you on to Sunday. You have games at 1 o'clock, and you have that Sarsfield and Mullinahone and Cashel at 7:30. So you can easily take in 6 games across the county for that weekend package, and I think it's good value there. And especially the OAPs there, you get 6 games there for 18 quid. Like, that's good. That's great value.
God, that really certainly is. Michael, is there anything you would like to add to before we wrap up?
I think that's great value, Stevie, for the €27 for all the games this weekend that you could get. Look, there's there's 23 games on the weekend across all 3 grades. It's a feast of hurling. The county championship. I know a lot of people were against the 3 grades when it came in, but it's really settled down now. All 3 grades are really competitive. Lots of games for people to see spread out across the weekend. I think credit to the county board for the way they've scheduled these games.
Gentlemen, all I can say is thank you both for joining us here from the headquarters of Arrowville Rovers GA Club. It is Sean Tracy Park.